Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to Newsroom. I'm your host Omar Khalid. But a new week begins and we've got lots to discuss with you. So without further ado, these are stories that will be highlighted during the course of our show. We'll begin with the visit of our caretaker Prime Minister Kakar to the United Arab Emirates. He's there on a two-day official visit. He will be meeting the UAE President Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed during his visit, and of course as soon as that visit happens there will be a lot of developments and we'll be highlighting that as and when that happens. Both leaders are to exchange views on enhancing bilateral ties. The ties between the two brotherly countries already are extremely strong, and of course with the number of Pakistani expatriates that are working in the UAE, that amounts to around 1.6 million, this cooperation becomes even more robust and important. Several MOUs are also to be signed during this visit of our caretaker Prime Minister to the United Arab Emirates, and of course the visit was also aimed to strengthen the relationship that already exists between the two countries, to further strengthen it, to further cement it. This is going to be our first story. Our second story, ladies and gentlemen, concerns the updates coming from Gaza. So today is the last day of the truce between Hamas and Israel. There are a lot of talks as far as the extension of the truce is concerned. A lot of countries are working behind the scenes, whether it be Qatar, Egypt, the United States or the EU, that are trying to increase the time duration of this humanitarian truce. Whether this happens or not is something that we will all be sharing with you as and when we get the news. Hamas has released 58 people. Israel has freed 117 Palestinians. UNRWA, the United Nations organization, says that a long-term ceasefire is needed in Gaza, and Israeli forces have detained another 60 Palestinians in West Bank. Although in one hand in Gaza there is a truce, but in the West Bank there are still activities that are going on by Israel. Then we'll be talking about Baba Guru Nanak's 554th birth anniversary that is being celebrated today. Around 3,000 Indian Sikhs have reached Pakistan to attend and to participate in this auspicious ceremony that is extremely important for the Sikh community across the world. So, the Sikh pilgrims have also during their visit lauded the efforts and the cooperation that was given to them, extended to them by the Pakistani authorities and the Pakistani government, and the hospitality, of course, that Pakistan always gives to its Sikh brethren from across the world. The government has also declared a public holiday in Nankana district. Sahib, today the last day celebrations were marked at Gurdwara Janamasthan as well. Finally, we'll be talking about environmental pollution and how Lahore is engulfed in it. Lahore has again topped this list of world's most polluted cities. We did talk about that on Friday as well, but that it is still topping this list because of the smog, because of the different issues, and of course this is going to happen and is happening. The health of the people, the children, the elderly and those who are immunocompromised. The government has announced new schedules for schools and markets because of this. The air quality index is now 353. This is going to be our last story. Let's begin with our first, and that concerns the relations between the Islamic Republic of Pakistan and the United Arab Emirates that have strengthened with every passing year. And now we have the caretaker Prime Minister, Mr. Kakar, who is visiting the UAE on a two-day official visit. A lot of important MOUs are going to be signed. More in the following report.
Prime Minister Kakar is on a two-day official visit to the United Arab Emirates. The Prime Minister's visit is an important milestone in the strengthening of economic relations between both the countries. He will be meeting the President of United Arab Emirates, Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed Al Nahyan. During the meeting, the two leaders will exchange views on enhancing brotherly bilateral relations between the two countries in the fields of economy, trade, investment, cultural, defense, and fostering people-to-people contacts. Today, both the countries will also sign memorandums of understanding in various fields, including investment cooperation in the fields of energy, port operation projects, wastewater management, food security, logistics, mining, aviation, and banking and financial services. The trade volume between Pakistan and the UAE is close to $10 billion, which is expected to increase further as a result of the visit. The UAE is also amongst the largest export market for Pakistani human resource, where more than 1.6 million Pakistanis work and send $6 billion home in remittances every year. The caretaker Prime Minister Kakar's visit will lead to an increase in business opportunities for the private sector of both the countries.
We've been joined in the studios to talk about this by Agha Iqrar Haroon. He's a senior journalist. We will also be joined online by Dr. Ghulam. He's an economist with the CAREC Institute at the Asian Development Bank. Let's begin in the studios with Agha Iqrar Haroon. Agha Sahab, how excited are you by the visit of our caretaker Prime Minister to the UAE? We already have a very important, strong ties. Do you feel these ties will further be cemented through the MOUs that will be signed?
Definitely, and it was very expected visit, and I thought it could have been the last month, I think so, because this visit is going to consolidate the SIFC initiatives actually. And if you go through the list of the possible MOUs being signed, they are all
Energy, port operation projects, wastewater treatment, food security, logistics, mining, aviation,
yes.
banking, financial sectors.
Yes, banking financial sector, let's start from here.
Okay.
Because we do have a very strong banking finance sector interaction with the UAE, but it needed to be enhanced, because still the number of remittance comes through different channels. So we have to expand this banking financing, which is already here, but we need expansion. And secondly, we go for aviation. If you remember, there are talks about, you can say, privatization of our flag carrier PIA. Like Qatar, UAE also I mean, you can say in a run for this particular product. And then if you talk about the mining, they are all SIFC projects. And they need for a consolidated discussion, because we don't want to waste time. And UAE is very much interested, particularly in food security. And when you see the word the food security, is it not the food security of Pakistan? Actually, it's the food security of the UAE also. If you remember, Saudi Arab, Qatar, UAE, Oman, and many other Gulf countries had been looking towards Ukraine for as a food basket.
True.
They some of them even you can say got the lease of huge millions of acre land in Ukraine for 10 years, for 20 years, so and so and so forth. What happened, and what is the scenario of Ukraine for the last almost you can say 2 or 3 years? Gulf countries has to look somewhere else now. Though immediately what they are looking at is Pakistan and Indonesia and this Egypt. But if you talk about the rice and wheat and barley, so Pakistan is the most appropriate country which can provide a secure food basket to countries like UAE. And now, if you remember, the SIFC is, it has a very important component, that is agriculture farming, the corporate farming. So I believe that a huge investment would come from the UAE into that particular sector, because after this Ukraine war, it is very categorically clear to all Gulf countries they cannot spend so much money and cannot inject their resources to a far-flung areas like Ukraine. So this is for Pakistan a win-win situation, and Pakistan should not waste time. And SIFC project must have come with a tangible product as a product to them, because it is further delayed. And the mining is also a very important part of SIFC. So this visit, I actually look this visit from in the lens of SIFC.
All right. Dr. Ghulam Samad joins us. He's an economist with the CAREC Institute at the Asian Development Bank. Dr. Saab, thank you very much to have joined us. Dr. Saab, I'd like to understand the economy of both the countries and the economic cooperation that exists. The current Pakistani envoy in the UAE says that the trade volume between both the countries is going to surpass 10.6 billion US dollars in 2023. How can we increase it even further? Because Pakistan wants to be economically stable. Pakistan wants to be an export-based economy, and UAE is an excellent market. What are the products that we should export to the UAE, where we can talk to the UAE?
Thank you so much, Barsaf, for having me. I think the biggest kind of beauty of this whole visit recently is we have and I think it's now right that on the free trade agreement that we had recently signed with the GCC countries. And if you look into the UAE overall and Pakistan trade volume, you rightly mentioned it's around $10 billion, right? But if you can look into the total potential that exists, it's up to $40 billion that does exist. So if you look into the gap, that is around $30 billion, right? So what we can see here, I think still we need a lots of room does exist where Pakistan definitely maneuver and increase their exports. Now comes to your question, if you look into the categories of the products that what Pakistan is exporting to UAE, but before I mention some of those categories, if you look into the trade balance between the two countries, we are receiving around 7 billion export from UAE, and Pakistan exports to UAE is around 1.2 billion dollars. So still, if we compare our overall volume of export with the world, is still very limited to the UAE. So from our side, it's even less than $2 billion. So again, what I'm saying here is that a lots of room does exist for Pakistan to export to UAE, especially now it's the time we can utilize on the free trade agreement that we recently signed with the GCC, and of course, under the umbrella of GCC, UAE, one of the important partners for us. Now, if you look into the main exports that Pakistan is going to export to UAE, that are mainly agriculture and textile products. And my colleague earlier rightly mentioned that still I think it's the right time we can invest on the upgradation of agriculture and agricultural commodities in our country. And if you look around the world, I think one of the global challenges is the food crisis around the world, and of course the inflation is upfront there. So it's the right time for Pakistan to invest on the agriculture sector, invest on the upgradation of the agriculture sector, so that we can at least capture most of the market of the UAE. So that is one thing I'm really looking forward to this PM sub visit, and I do believe there will be not only kind of a generic kind of MOUs, but it will be very targeted, proactive kind of MOUs that will definitely help Pakistan. So comes to your question, I think we need to invest on the upgradation of agriculture. We need technologies there. And of course, if we can bring in value additions kind of MOUs, particularly for the agriculture sector, that would be something really helpful again for Pakistan to boost the export from $1.2 billion to at least $5 billion down the line in next 2 or 3 years. That is one thing. Secondly, I think it's again a very high time we can learn from UAE in terms of a trade facilitation measurement. If you look into the ports and the seaports investment in last couple of decades UAE had done, I think that are marvelous. And we are currently going to sign the MOU with the UAE, and of course we are inviting them to invest in civil aviation. We are inviting them to invest in dry ports. We are now inviting them to invest in seaports. I think that is something I'm really looking forward. If you look to the Pakistan's, and I compare Pakistan with the regional economies, unfortunately, the trade facilitation measurement as compared to the region are still low. So I think if we can bring in the UAE best practices, best experience to Pakistan, that would be something we can not only increase the trade volume, the trade challenges that currently Pakistan is facing, but we will definitely tap into the more volume of the trade. As I mentioned, probably down the line it will be 5 billion. Of course, we can increase to 10 billion from with only UAE if they can Pakistan invest in agriculture, textile, some of the technologies and value addition, and of course on the trade facilitation measurement that are related to the trades. So these are some of the kind of I would say high level thinking that I think probably the Prime Minister visit will definitely bring in for Pakistan and of course for the trade and the deficit improvement in Pakistan.
And of course, it is a win-win situation, as Iqrar and Haroon Sahab also pointed out, for Pakistan as well under the current circumstances, geopolitical, geostrategic or geo-economic as well. Thank you very much, Dr. Ghulam Sahab, economist with CAREC Institute at ADB, to have joined us, to have given us a very brief outlook, but a very comprehensive outlook on how important is the relationship between the two countries and how we can further strengthen that, especially in the trade arena. Let's come to you, Sahab. this was very interesting conversation that I had with Dr. Saab, and he talked about best practices and best experiences of the UAE that Pakistan needs to incorporate and work on in order to further strengthen the relations with the UAE. I'd like to mention here the Pakistani expatriates that are there. Around 1.6 million Pakistanis work in the UAE, and as far the latest estimates that I saw on the website of the UAE embassy in Pakistan, 4.45 billion dollars is the remittance that they more or less send in a current fiscal year, which is of course a very important investment. At the same time, they also are ambassadors for Pakistan in their respective country. How important is the importance of the Pakistani diaspora in the UAE to further strengthen the people-to-people contact and the image of Pakistan in the UAE? B, how can the expatriates further bring in investment, UAE investment in Pakistan?
Look, every Pakistani is actually an ambassador of Pakistan, and he should or she should behave like that, because they are our face, our window. But Dr. Saab has very, very precisely, he has raised very important question, and he has come up with very knowledgeable data. If you allow me, one thing I want to mention.
Go ahead.
Look, there was a time when Pakistan was a major market for labor for entire Gulf. But unfortunately, we are lagging now today because of unskilled and semi-skilled labor.
All right.
We failed to, you can say, provide capacity building to our comparatively illiterate class, for labor class. Now, when you see this Saudi Arab Vision 230, Kuwait Vision 235, Qatar Vision 230, Oman Vision 240, and Abu Dhabi Vision 230, and Bahrain Vision 230, they have provided a list of their demand of labor. That list is not a semi-skilled or unskilled list. They need skilled workers, skilled labor.
So we need to skill our labor force as per the requirements of the UAE.
Exactly. Otherwise, we are no more. And unfortunately, if you allow me to, I want to mention, Pakistan has only 2026, you can say, skilled labor institution, what you call the vocational institutions.
Okay. All right.
In 2006, for girls, for women, is only 269. Our nurses are doing a general nurses course. You know, Pakistani nurses was a major chunk of entire Gulf just 30 years ago. No, we are providing only a general nursing diploma. They need specialization nursing diplomas, like in cancer patients, in different range.
All right.
Like that, only 263 vocational institutions for girls, which you are providing, nothing. And we are told.
So what you are trying to say, what you are trying to say is that we need to increase the capacity building.
Capacity building and vocational training. If we are not, we won't do it. I assure you, we would be out of total, Gulf market. If you talk about the labor, and the labor are basically our they are our product. You know what did some countries in South Asia, I don't want to name, they basically promote their labor as a product.
All right.
As an exportable product, and they invested on them. They did their capacity building, and now you can, if you see the list of you can say revenue generation coming to South Asia from Gulf to different countries, Pakistan stands nowhere. So these are the important issues. We don't touch it actually. We have to work very hard if we want to compete. Is a very big word. Even we want to survive.
But you know the measures, I feel, and I need to put it here in black and white, the caretaker government, the measures it is taking, including this visit of our caretaker Prime Minister, is very important, because this is how we
Definitely.
What is the importance, how we need to highlight and how we need to strengthen the relations.
Definitely. Your relations are there, they want, look, they ask you for products, but you don't have capacity to provide products at international standard. This is our problem.
All right.
So this is what we have to work first. We want to work at our home, we want to clean our home, and then we can exploit our relationship with all Gulf countries.
All right. Finally, the Pakistan's envoy, ambassador to the UAE says, and I quote, that the UAE is working to sign a comprehensive economic partnership agreement with Pakistan, which will create opportunities to enhance bilateral trade and exports between both countries. How do you see this agreement whenever it is, signed upon by both the countries?
Definitely. I just mentioned you when we were not on air. I also talked about our ambassador, Faisal Niaz Tirmizi, early in the morning. He was very excited, he was very happy, and he was waiting for today's signatures, because our foreign office and particularly our UAE embassy is working very extensively. And since this ambassador is there, the overall increase of our export is more than 26% just in 1.5 years. So our diplomats are working extensively under the guidance of this interim government also, and they are Pakistani embassy is very hopeful. After the signatures of so many MOUs, immediately we will enter into the operational work of these MOUs.
And before we leave, I'd just like to say one of the MOUs that will be signed will be the energy sector. How important will that cooperation be as well?
Because UAE is a huge provider of green energy now. Just imagine a country who was providing you biofuels, now they are also leading in the green energy. So they want to transfer their expertise of the green energy to Pakistan.
True. All right, thank you very much, Agha, Iqrar, Haroon, to have joined us. Senior journalist, analyst, Agha, Iqrar, Haroon, ladies and gentlemen, joining us and discussing the gamut of relations between Pakistan and the UAE. Our caretaker Prime Minister Kakar is in the UAE as we speak. He is going to meet with different dignitaries, and of course, the importance of the relations between both the countries is paramount. It has been developing over the last decades, and this only seems to be on the right path, on the right trajectory, with both the countries wanting to work with each other, wanting to increase the gamut of relations, the gamut of cooperation, and the gamut of avenues between both the countries, that is Pakistan and the UAE. Let's begin with our second story, and our second story, ladies and gentlemen, let's come back and of course talk about Israel and Palestine. And 52 days have passed since this conflict began between the two factions. Since then, there has been a 4-day truce, humanitarian truce in Gaza. This truce today is the last day of that truce, but a lot of efforts are underway in order to further increase the duration of this truce as we speak. Israel says it is open to extend the truce if more captives are released by Hamas. Egypt, Qatari and US negotiators are close to agreeing on a truce extension, but are still discussing on how long and which prisoners will be freed under it. This has been told by different media sections across the world as well. The Palestinian Authority also has confirmed that Qatar, the US, the EU and Spain are working to extend the 4-day truce deal. Riyad al-Maliki, who is the Palestinian Authority's foreign minister, says the current truce could be extended for 1, 2 or 3 days, but added no one knows exactly for how long. To discuss that and more, we've been joined in the studios by Dr. Farah. She's an expert in international relations and a frequent guest on our show. Farah, thank you very much to have joined us. Farah, 52 days of the conflict, 4th day of the truce, the last day of the truce, efforts going on the diplomatic front to extend that truce. How optimistic are you for this truce to be extended? And if it does, do you feel it will go for 1, 2 or 3 days as Riyad al-Maliki says, or will it go beyond?
Well, Omar, the thing depends on what will be the outcome of even the extension, if they extend for a number of days or for a larger period of time. To me, I think they're not going to extend it beyond a certain period. If it's even 2 more days, I don't see any fruits coming on the way towards Palestinians and the people of Gaza. Because there are, my research believes, and there are a couple of serious factors involved on the part of Israeli and Jewish, the specific segment of the Jewish community. They believe that there are some controversial debates also going on that probably they want to take away the Suez Canal trade maritime routes and establish another maritime trade route towards this side by joining the Ben Gurion canal and establishing this side. So for that they have to somehow get control of Gaza and take away all the Palestinian peoples of that territory. If that is the plan, then probably any ceasefire will never work, because it depends on what they want to achieve from this entire.
But one thing that Palestine wants to achieve is the exchange of more prisoners, and that is what it is hoping for. They are asking for a 4-day extension of the truce, but who knows? I mean, Riyad al-Maliki says it is going to be a 1, 2 or 3-day truce. Palestine says 4-day truce. Israel says it is looking forward to some more conditionalities. But which is the most important thing in your point of view? A cessation of hostilities, more exchange of prisoners, because there are prisoners that are languishing in Israeli jails for without any reason whatsoever, and there are children, there are women, there are the elderly that are there.
Well, Omar, I have huge respect for humankind and human beings, no matter what nationality, what religion they follow and pursue. But in this release of the hostages or release of the prisoners from the Israeli prison camps, it doesn't make sense to me, because they kill a large number of people and now demanding 100 people or 150 or maybe 200 people in times to come. So at the cost of 200 people, they are killing thousands of people on the Palestinian side. This doesn't make sense to me, because ultimately if there was no killing of any human being involved, and still they were asking and demanding for the release of Palestinians in Israeli prisons, that would have made more sense to me. So ultimately what I can see is it's a very losing kind of game played on both sides. Even Hamas, if they are demanding, if it's about ordinary Palestinians, I don't see Hamas will be more interested in that. Probably Hamas is more interested in releasing some of its own key people from the prisons of Israel jails. So that could be another victory for Hamas if that's going to happen. But it overall, I don't see any fruits coming along this entire way.
Let's look at the fruits coming from the diplomatic circle. China's Foreign Minister Wang Yi is going to visit New York this week to hold a United Nations Security Council meeting on the war in Gaza. And of course, we know that China holds the rotating presidency of the UNSC as we speak this month. And it will hold a high-level meeting in the Palestinian-Israeli issue on the 29th of this month. This has been confirmed by Wang Wenbin, who is the Foreign Ministry spokesperson. Role of China in de-escalation?
Well, China has the potential to play a very important role to de-escalate this conflict. And it's not only China, but the world has realized that there is a lot of humanitarian cost to this war. And I'm a little bit very concerned about the problems that is emerging even in all these Western countries, where their own people, there is like numbers coming up that from age 20 to 30, 35, they all are standing for Palestinians at the moment, no matter what nationality they're holding or what religion they follow. But on the other side, there's this elderly community who still supports the Jewish community and their decision. So there is a division even over there.
All right.
So we can see the role of China and manipulating all of this or trying to achieve larger objectives of that. China has the potential, and they can play a very important role. If China can bring Iran closer to Saudi Arabia, China can bring these two conflicting parties together as well. But the major conflicting issue between Palestine and Israel is a war of ideology, the war of religion, the war of politics, and its maneuvering, and it's a war of territory as well.
It's also a war of narratives, Farah, as we speak. Who is winning this war of narratives in the media, at least?
It's at the moment, I think if I look at in larger context, I think the world is aware of that it's Israel who is of the wrong side. But at the same time, we can see the voices of Palestinians is getting more powerful on social media and all those forums. Though all those powerful countries, they are trying to control the voices of Palestinians and all those peoples who are in Gaza at the moment. There is no news coming up about what is happening to them, but still there is something coming up. And then in fact, like the killing of children and the way they have been tortured and molested and killed and slaughtered in Gaza, I think the world will take ages and ages to forget that.
No, but speaking of children, at least 5,000 children have been
very
killed.
Unfortunate.
It's since the 7th of October in the Gaza bombings, and more than 14,854 Palestinians have been killed. The official death toll from the other side, they say, stands at 1,200. Look at the comparison between the two, and this is something that is going to continue. Let the truce end, and you'll see how they will refuel their violent and barbaric attitudes towards Palestine. This said, the United Nations Agency for Palestinian Refugees says there has been an increase in the number of trucks and the assistance that has entered Gaza, including to the north for the first time since the war began. Do you feel an extension in the truce would also allow more humanitarian aid to enter Gaza?
Yes, but if the humanitarian aid is provided to all people in Gaza, and then suddenly again bombardment begins, so how are they going to feed themselves if there is bombs coming in on their sky and on their houses and on all their places? Because not a single place is safe in Gaza at the moment, neither hospitals nor schools nor even the international entities like the United Nations, its own headquarters or anything. Nothing is safe over there. So I think they are taking time because they have to answer their own people. As I said, there are voices coming from those countries saying and demanding that killing innocent human beings at this cost, killing children at this cost is not acceptable to them. So they are probably shifting their paradigm or their narrative towards how to further, take an action against all those people who are there, because ultimately, to me, according to my research, they have to clean Gaza. No matter
but this is what they want ultimately. But the fact remains, you've talked of narratives. I'd like to quote what Netanyahu, addressing Israeli forces in Gaza, said: "Nothing will stop us." He also has told Joe Biden apparently that he will extend the truce. Just look at what he has said. He will extend the truce by 1 day for each further 10 captives released.
So they are very strong, they are very calculated what they want. Strategically, they know when and how to use them. Probably they will let the trucks enter, so people will be happy with all the humanitarian assistance, because people are dying with food shortages and with electricity, medicine and all those basic necessities that are provided even in times of war. But this war is different from what we have seen in the past wars. We have seen that even in the World War I and II, such kind of atrocities were not there, where innocent children, infants, and even those women and children who are always protected in wars, they were particularly targeted in this conflict. So it's a completely different ball game. It's a completely different story, and the war of narratives is very well played out, where we can see Netanyahu is openly saying that I will make it a graveyard and I will destroy Gaza. I will reconstruct it, and President Biden is supporting Netanyahu on that front. So everything is very clear what they want, how they can do it, and they have the potential even to make it a
Look at the
graveyard.
pressure tactics of Netanyahu and of Israel for that matter. We all remember Tesla CEO Elon Musk had said that he's going to put Starlink satellites over Palestine, over Gaza, so that people can have access to internet, because there had been a blockade of communications in Gaza done by Israel. Now, he has agreed not to activate Starlink over Gaza without Israel's approval. This has been confirmed by Israeli communications minister. Look at how the pressure tactics work.
They are unfortunately, I would call it, because when power goes into the hand of wrong people, this is what happens. So they are Israel under the leadership of Netanyahu. They are the technology leaders in the world. They know how to control technology. They know when and where to manipulate it and to use it for their own objectives. So we can see it that they have always been doing it, but this time it's open. It's open war makes me a little worried. What actually they want to achieve.
What is a huge question mark is also the duration of this open war. How long is this going to be on the two ends?
This time, when we look at their approach towards Palestinian territories, it was not this aggressive. This time they have crossed all the limits of being how to play.
I think they were also somewhere testing how the international reaction would come to all of this.
Probably. I was just checking today the map of Israel and Palestine today, and I could see how in each decade they were reaching out to different territories. And today I can see is that in the West Bank there are several settlements of Israel placed over there, so it's easy for them to get hold of that territory. Gaza is the only strip which is complete strip where Palestinians are living. So if they take this part, this means most of the territory is gone. This is where, and even with this controversial debate about the Ben Gurion Canal project, which is coming up, through which they can take all the trade, the maritime trade from Suez Canal to this part. So Egypt will be deprived of taking all the money through the port that they are getting on for trade purposes. So they will be collecting even all those taxes from this part. So probably they can see more monetary benefits at this junction, rather than just waiting for that. We will wait and see and how to get territory from them. So they said, let's just go and face the music at this time, and we will just face it at once. So people will talk about it for a number of years and then they will forget, because we have seen what history has done.
I don't think the world is going to forget what has happened right now since the 7th of October in Gaza.
Exactly, because people have not forgotten even what happened on 6th of October. So things are a bit, coming up on their own faces at the moment, and we can see how it's going to reshape the world narratives and world future context in times to come as well. Because if this happens, then how can they demand human rights violation in times to come?
Forget human rights violations. There seems to be no human rights at all, as far as we know, since the 7th of October in the Israeli barbarities towards Palestine. They have put the truce off for 4 days in Gaza, but in the West Bank they continue to capture the Palestinians. There have been 60 Palestinians who have been arrested overnight in the occupied West Bank. 3,000 Palestinians have been arrested from the West Bank alone since the 7th of October.
To me, I think West Bank is not an issue to them altogether, because if you see the settlements, they have sprinkled all over West Bank. So it's an easy thing for them to stop them. I think they just need to get hold of the strong voices there. To me, like so far, I have not seen very strong voices coming from the West Bank. It's the Gaza they give them trouble. So they want to go and meet the trouble first, and then from there, then they can get hold of the entire territory. And with this, we can see the Greater Israel plan is becoming possible.
And to increase the settlements, let's talk of before I go to Gaza, because we've said that we've already discussed what they want to do with Gaza. They want to, make new settlements inside and evacuate completely the Palestinians from there. But the Palestinian Ministry of Foreign Affairs has also condemned the announcement by the Israeli finance minister to allocate large budgets to promote settlement expansion in the occupied West Bank. And this statement has also been criticized by the EU's foreign policy chief, Borrell, who says the decision went against international law. But again, international law, where is international law?
Who's international law? And a law or a system that is there to please the West, or is there to please all those few countries who are trying to control the entire world system? So I think this is not acceptable. If they talk about international law, if they talk about crimes and international crimes, and they talk about humanitarian problems and rights and this and that, nobody's going to make sense of that, because everyone is very clear on whose right are you talking about. If you talk about rights, this means human rights only belongs to this group of countries in the world. No one else is relevant. So probably I can see from this war, it has raised very serious issues in the international system, the role of all those international organizations, what they can do in times to come, and what they can offer to the world as well. And secondly, can we still rely on the international law at this stage? Whose law are we talking about? And if this is the law who is going to serve the world, then probably we have to revisit some of its clauses, and we have to redefine them. So I don't see the set standard that we have at this point will remain the same. There will be changes coming up, and I mean states, they will be bringing all those issues to the international system through the platforms which is already there, like the ICC, like the ICJ, like the UN, and they will be demanding, who are you standing with, who are you supporting with? Probably there was a time when they were asking, wait, are you with us or against us? So then with all those unprivileged countries, they will be going and asking all these powerful organizations, are you with us or you are against them? So we can ask you and sue you and ask for our rights and duties according to those definitions. So this is not going to end over here. This war is very important. This is very crucial for redefining the international system to re-understand what actually is demanding of us.
It's important word that you took out, redefining. I think this war is also, this genocide, and I'd like to highlight this as well, is redefining the narrative as far as Muslims and Arabs are concerned across the world. It is also redefining the relationship or the way people look at Muslims. It is highlighting Islamophobia. It is increasing Islamophobia. Just look at one of the examples. We've seen so many videos on social media, but one of the repercussions of is the 3 men of Palestinian descent studying in the US who have been shot in Burlington in Vermont on Sunday. This is a direct reaction of the narrative that has been building from in the West and what has been happening. You see increased polarization across the world as a result of that. Do you feel this will disseminate, or this is on the rise?
Well, I think I've seen 9/11, I've seen all those important times in the history which shape different narratives. To me, I think this one is something that in times to come will go in favor of the Muslims, because the world has seen if Muslims, they are the terrorist or someone else is the terrorist. They understand the nitty-gritty of terrorism and extremist ideologies against a particular group of people. So I can see certain, of course, every war brings along some kind of, potential and some kind of losing ends as well. If I look at this in a broader context in terms of the Muslim world and particularly the Middle East, so all those countries who were getting closer to Israel through some kind of diplomatic partnership, relationship, trade and businesses and all those ventures, they cannot go now because the world will question them. Who are you siding with? You are siding with a country who is actually a terrorist country, who is going and attacking all those innocent people like children who were infants and who had nothing to do with all those political businesses and all. What was their fault? So that has put a ban on all those diplomatic ties between all those states who were thinking to sign some kind of deals with Israel at that stage. So there is a cost to Israel that Israel has.
There is a cost to everything that happens. Every conflict, every genocide, every war that happens has a cost to it. And let's talk of the humanitarian cost. Last question, small answer. Hospitals in northern Gaza have not received any fuel during the truce. Field hospitals now in Gaza need 5 to 7 days to start operating. Israeli army has destroyed 21 private hospitals and 13 public hospitals across the enclave in Gaza. And Ahli Arab Hospital, Kamal Adwan Hospital and Al Adwa hospitals are the last working hospitals in the central and northern Gaza. Just look at the situation of affairs as far as the hospitals are concerned. Despite the truce, there is not enough being done in order to help those who are in need, those patients, the hundreds of thousands of patients that are in these hospitals.
I'll call it barbarism, where there is no limitation to being a sick or patient in a hospital, or if you are a student studying in a school, or if you are outside on the street just doing your normal businesses, or if you are a terrorist or a militant. They have equated everyone. No matter you are with Hamas or you are not with Hamas, or you are an extremist or you are a normal citizen, you are one and the same to Israel. So Israel, all these people will be looking at Israel the same way as well. No matter if a Jew in any part of the world is innocent or guilty, they will consider Jews as Israelis. So it is leading towards a very stronger anti-narrative against
and polarization.
polarization.
I'm sure this is going to give rise to increased Islamophobia in the coming days unless the world gets together and stops Israel from doing what it is perpetrating or has been perpetrating. Not since 7th of October, this is the latest episode, but there have been so many episodes since the first Nakba that happened. Thank you very much, Dr. Farah, who have joined us, who have talked to us. Also, kind of therapeutic to talk to you because we exchange views on what has been happening, and I think humanity has lost in this genocide, in this war in Palestine. The biggest loss is that of the people who are residing there. Thank you very much, Farah, who have joined us. Let's come to our last two stories very quickly. The first concerns the Baba Guru Nanak's birth anniversary that is being held today. The main ceremony in connection with these celebrations of the 554th birth anniversary of Baba Guru Nanak Dev Ji is being held at Gurdwara Janamsthan in Nankana Sahib. The ceremony will conclude after the Nagar Kirtan procession and the final prayer that is going to happen in the night as well. Nearly 3,000 Sikh Yatris reached Lahore from India through the Wagah border to participate in these celebrations of Baba Guru Nanak Dev Ji's anniversary. Of course, he is their religious founder, and it is a very auspicious day for them. During this 10-day stay in Pakistan, pilgrims are going to visit Gurdwara Janamsthan, Nankana Sahib, Gurdwara Panja Sahib, Hasan Abdal, Gurdwara Sacha Sauda, Gurdwara Dera Sahib, Lahore, Gurdwara Rohdi Sahib, Amanabad, and Gurdwara Darbar Sahib, Kartarpur, Narowal. We have always welcomed the Sikhs with open arms. We have always loved them the way they have shown their love to us as well. And this ceremony is just one of the highlights of how Pakistan welcomes the Sikh community from across the world. Finally, let's come to environmental pollution. Lahore and the government's anti-smog steps as Lahore remains the most polluted city in the world. The average air quality index has been recorded as 356, that is termed hazardous, on Sunday, while the maximum was 444 at 3 a.m. Government has completely closed vehicular traffic on the Mall Road for a day and has also taken other measures as far as school and other educational institutions are concerned. The Lahore police have also installed barricades at entry and exit points of the Mall Road. Some citizens have been seen crossing the barricade on cycles, but it is advised not to do so. Smart lockdowns have also been imposed in 6 divisions of Punjab. The PDMA wants more anti-smog measures. The anti-smog measures, of course, I hope happen sooner than later. As far as environmental pollution goes, Lahore citizens, Punjab citizens are the one who are suffering the most, and of course the health issues are the most serious of it all, whether those who have heart issues, lung issues, the children, the immunocompromised are the ones who are going to suffer the most or are suffering the most. We need to do the needful, and we need to do it now. This is the end of today's newsroom. We'll see you tomorrow with news story segments that pertain to us, you and Pakistan. Stay safe. Allah Hafiz.